Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to today's installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs. Sorry if the quality of this video is a little different. I'm using my older Handycam that's not filming in high definition right now because my current camera for some reason didn't charge. So I had this one on the charger because it actually has been not used for a while, so I figured at some point I'd power it up, and today happened to be the day because I need a camera for this video before the sun goes down completely. This is the 1,000 mile review, or I should say status report on the 2001 Pontiac Aztek GT project. It's really not at 1,000 miles yet. It is about, I don't know, 30 miles away, so we'll jump in the car and get it to 1,000 miles, but yeah, it's at like 967 or something like that right now, and thought I'd let you guys know exactly how it's been, at least for the first 1,000 miles, which may seem like nothing. I mean, it's 1,000 miles, but for an old car like this that still has issues and all kinds of stuff, and for it being on the road for almost 2 months exactly, as of I think tomorrow or the day after, something like that, you know, it's a pretty big deal because there really hasn't been anything new pop up. I thought there might have been a couple of things here and there, but I'll go over all of that. In the meantime, you can see how dirty it has gotten, so you could tell it has definitely been driven quite frequently. I can't back this camera up any further as far as the zoom, so it looks like it's zoomed in, but it really isn't. It's as far back as it goes. But yeah, the wheel is almost entirely black. It still has the brakes on it that it came with when I bought it. So that's 2 months there, 2 months of brake dust. It's driving me crazy, but I figured just for the point of this video, I would just kind of leave the car as is. It's got some road grime on it, it's got dirt, it's got salt. It's been out in the snow. We had our first snow not too long ago, and it was out there in the snow. Back don't look too bad, but the other side, you know, just the usual stuff. I really forgot how much this camera doesn't zoom out. It's kind of irritating me. I'm sorry. Again, 2 months of brake dust. This tire might be going a little low. I don't know. It's one of the ones I bought from the junkyard, so. But yeah, for the most part, guys, this car has been phenomenal for the first 1,000 miles that I've driven it. Like I said, there's other things that I need to go over with you guys as far as how it's running, driving, all this stuff. Yeah, let's take a look at the fluids real quick. Alright, so it was just running not too long ago. We had some errands to do. Thanksgiving is this week, so we went to the store and we had to get our stuff for Thanksgiving dinner and all this stuff. So it is still relatively hot and warm, you know. Everything was just running not too long ago. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, if it weren't for those errands, I probably would have made this video a lot sooner in the day, but it is getting late, so I'm trying to do all this before it gets dark. So the oil, like I said, 1,000 miles, changed the oil, I don't know, a couple days into driving it. Didn't have a whole lot on it. I forget when I changed it. So the oil doesn't really have 1,000 miles on it, but it's pretty close to it. And finally, you know, the oil is starting to actually darken. When the car is sitting after, you know, not being driven for a while, it is off of the full mark and down to the second little dot on the right. Not on the right, the second one from the right, I should say. Sorry, it's not focusing in. Basically the third dot from the left is where it's sitting. So the oil is going somewhere. Now I do have a leaking crankshaft seal, which I bought and haven't been able to replace yet. I haven't seen any drips. I haven't seen any leakage from the engine area. So the oil could maybe just be burning off because of how old it is. All of the neglect that the car has gone through before I bought it. So it will be getting a change. I'm trying to, you know, change the oil before 3,000 miles, especially because I believe there's still a lot of crud and stuff in there from the sludge and neglect that the I don't know, whoever had the car over the years, you know, they just didn't maintain it as well. The good news is we're not seeing any foam or anything, so the head gaskets that I replaced are still in good order. Head gaskets and intake gaskets. Yeah, she's dirtying up some. So now that the engine has finally gotten, you know, use and it's under load and stuff and higher RPMs and stuff, I'm sure a lot more crud and debris is breaking up into the oil. So probably before 2,000 miles I'm going to be changing the oil again, and we're just going to keep trying to flush all of this nasty stuff out. But I mean, for 1,000 miles it doesn't look bad. Again, the camera's not focusing on the stick, but whatever. But you know, there's no coffee coloring or anything. It's starting to look like normal, you know, used oil. So that's cool. Transmission. You know, the transmission, the fluid in the transmission is darker. It's not as cherry red as it was. There's still a slight burning smell after a while, like the transmission's getting hot, but it took a little while. But it's at full capacity when the car's running and on level ground and in park, like it asks you to do when you're checking the fluid. But it will probably end up getting another transmission fluid change, you know, eventually. I'm not as concerned about it as I was. The fluid isn't completely brown or black. It still has a cherry color, so yeah, the transmission isn't in the best of shape, but it's still actually performing pretty well. What else? Not losing power steering fluid. The power steering fluid is still topped off to where it was last time I filled it, which was I don't know, shortly after I started driving the car. I think I added fluid to it. The coolant, still green, still clean. The I'm not going to open the pressure cap because it's still hot, but yeah, so cap gets hot. Cap wasn't hot until the new radiator was put in, so the cap really wouldn't get warm. Radiator hose is hot, so everything seems to be circulating just fine. So that's pretty much everything under the hood wise. I don't think there's anything else. A lot of stuff was replaced. We went over the video. There was a video that I made not too long ago. Oh, brake fluid. We're not losing brake fluid, so that's cool. So yeah, I think that's it for now for under the hood. Let's go ahead. We'll jump into it, and we'll just go for a drive, and I'll tell you guys everything else that's going on with this Aztek project. The quality of this video is probably going to be awful because I can't zoom any further, so everything's close up. You know, I honestly don't know how I was able to deal with that camera view all these years. I'm also putting it on the seat this time, the tripod, because I want to see if I don't want the tripod falling over. So we're going to seat belt it in. It's probably not going to make that much of a difference, but We'll see. Alright, so we're at 967.1 on the tripometer. So overall, there really has not been any new things that came up with the Aztek as far as problems. I think everything that's still wrong with it, I think, was already wrong, and we just haven't been able to drive it, and we're just now noticing the things that are wrong with it because it's actually being used. For it sitting, you know, for a few years, you know, even before I bought it, it was sitting, and it sat for like a year and a half with me trying to sort everything out and fix everything. So now we're at the point where once it's in motion and we're using it and stuff, that's how we're noticing the things that, you know, were probably already wrong with it. This camera also has bad stability control. It's not as good as the other one, so the camera's probably a little shakier than normal too. The first thing was obvious. It was the transmission. The transmission shifts great for it having 171,000 miles on it. The problem with the transmission was the fact that there's no fourth gear. And at first, you know, I was really considering getting fourth gear replaced. It's a clutch hub. They have a tendency to go bad. They smooth themselves out over the course of years, because I guess they weren't made with the right material, so they just kind of shaved themselves to nothing. And I don't know, I was, you know, I drive the car a lot now, but I don't travel like long distances with it. I don't take it on the highway much. I'm honestly considering just leaving fourth gear out of it. I was told by a guy at the school who is a certified master GM technician. I asked him about it because I was considering taking the Aztek to school at some point in the future, and, you know, using stuff there to maybe sort some more stuff out, put it on the rack, you know, do all this stuff. You know, I was asking the one instructor if it was okay, you know, to be driving without fourth gear on the highway. My main concern was the fact that the engine is at higher RPM when you're going, you know, so fast on the highway. And he said it's fine. Third gear actually keeps the transmission cooler, he says. So the transmission doesn't get as hot in third gear when you're on the highway and stuff as it would in fourth or overdrive. Has something, he said it has something to do with torque, the torque converter lockup. I don't remember what was the exact reasoning, but the torque lockup was the reason he said it's actually better for it, something around those lines. And the engine running at like $3,000, I guess, isn't really going to hurt anything. It might wear the oil down faster, but, you know, that's, you know, whatever. But I was just concerned because of the fact that this engine is old. This engine has been through a lot of abuse and neglect, and I just wanted to make sure, you know, I'm hoping, I mean, there's no guarantee. The engine could go now, you know, it doesn't matter. The damage could already be done. It's been through so much. So, but I've taken it on the highway a few times now, just short distances. I'm talking like, you know, from one exit to another within like a 2 or 3 minute time frame. Because, yeah, I just want to see how it does. You know, at 65 miles an hour, the TAC is up just around $3,000. But it actually drives pretty well on the highway. It's not bouncing around. It's not, I mean, right now my Fusion is driving worse on the highway than this car is, and I think it's because I either need a front end alignment on the Fusion, or I have a tire that's out of balance or something from a pothole, or it might even be a broken belt in the tire. I don't know. But when you're doing 65 in the Fusion now, it's pretty noticeable that something's not right. And I have yet to actually get it looked at or figure it out. But this thing actually it handles fairly well on the highway. I was really surprised. I'm still not crazy at the idea of keeping this car on the highway for a long period of time, but you know, I'll gradually do more with it to see how it you know does with longer distances, and maybe I can take it the 45 minutes to school, which is, like I said, it's mostly all highway, that 45 minutes. So I don't know, I guess we'll see. Some of you guys may be wondering, have I had any overheating issues since the car's been on the road under loads and such? No. This gauge has stayed around either the middle or slightly under. Like right now, it is just slightly under the halfway mark, and that's where like my previous Aztek used to be at. So it's good. I have not had any overheating issues at all. I have not been worried about any overheating. Within the first couple of drives, that was something that I was keeping a real close eye on. But since then, I've kind of relaxed about it. It seems to be perfectly fine in the summer when you know we had it out toward the end of the summer and we still had like 90-degree days and whatnot. It still didn't overheat. It's sitting perfectly fine. So as of right now, I think everything that we've done to it, which, you know, new antifreeze or coolant, new head gaskets, new intake gaskets, new radiator, changed out the upper radiator hose. I mean, that's pretty much it. The only thing that I have to change on it is the water pump. I didn't do a water pump change on it. I probably should have done a water pump, but I didn't. And you know, the water pump seems to be doing its job. So if I do have any slight overheating problems, that's going to be one of the first things I do look at, is maybe changing out the water pump, because that's honestly right now that's the only fail point that I can think of if it starts to get hot. One thing that I've mentioned, I think within the first video that I did, maybe when we took it out, the gas gauge. You know, the gas gauge may be a little wonky, but actually the more that I've been driving it, the more accurate it seems to be. I filled it up today and it's been at the full mark. My old Aztek used to kind of bounce around, you know, within certain parameters, and I think they all do that. I know there are some cases that are worse because the actual connector under the carpet gets wet, and or under the car, I should say. They get wet, they corrode, and the fuel gauge does not get a proper signal, obviously, you know, saying how much gas there is. You know, in most cases, the gauge falls to empty, and it always says that you have no gas in it, or you're always at full. Doesn't matter. But mine seems to be doing pretty well the more I drive it. I've put 2 full tanks of gas in it so far. Before, when I was originally starting to drive it, I was kind of babying it and just putting, you know, $5, $10, and I would slowly, gradually, you know, fill it up more. So this is the second time that I've put a full tank of gas in it, and yeah, so I mean the gauge seems to be okay. The only thing that I noticed that really changes drastically back and forth is the fuel range, the digital information display. That'll bounce around quite a bit. Right now it says I'm at 281, now I'm at 284. That I seem to see that fluctuate a whole lot more than the gauge itself now. I mentioned it in the last video that I just did, where I was trying to diagnose why the rear defogger isn't working, which, not a new problem. That was something that that I guess, you know, existed when I bought the car. So it's not that big a deal to me. I don't need it. But I think I've come to the fact that the wire that runs from the fuse block to the back window, I think that's our issue, because we have power from the switch to the fuse block. There's current coming out of the wire, or to the wire, the green wire, and it's just not going through. So I'm not going to worry about it. But I think In that video, I mentioned the fact that there is water on the driver's side carpet. I've mentioned it before, the weather stripping on the windshield has been bad for a long time, and ever since the weather got drastically cold and I've been driving it and we had snow and, you know, everything, you know, we're talking in the teens some nights, I'm pretty sure that the rest of the weather stripping is no good. So I'm getting water, and I think it's running down the pillar, from inside the pillar, and it's dripping onto the driver's side carpet. And of course, you know, there's wires, connectors, and stuff under there. So hopefully this week I'll be able to have a professional re-weather strip the windshield, because I don't want the cause of death in this car to be from water after I've spent several thousands of dollars trying to get this thing on the road, and then water comes in and just completely obliterates everything that I've done to this car. So that's going to be on my list for this week, and it's actually pretty cheap. The guy quoted me $40 to reseal it, and I also found out it's not the original windshield. When he was looking at it, he said it's not the original windshield, so somebody has done this before, and he thinks maybe that's why all the weather stripping is bad. He said it looks like it wasn't done right or something. Lack of sealant or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so the windshield's not original. I wouldn't have known that. He took a look at it, he saw the name on the very bottom of the windshield, and yeah, so that's that. We changed out the motor and the changer, the 6-disc CD changer, the actual mechanism inside, and I'm happy to say that has actually been working out perfectly fine. The 6-disc CD changer has not given me any issues at all. It's been operating perfectly fine, and I'm extremely happy with it. I love my Pioneer sound system. As far as drivability goes, it's like for the most part, it's still handling and driving extremely well. But the one thing I've noticed is when you're going to accelerate from a stop, sometimes depending on if you're maybe turning or something along those lines, the front end has a shimmy when you accelerate. When you decelerate, there's no shimmy. So my only guess with that is I believe it has something to do with more of the suspension components up front. I feel like the camera angle keeps moving. Anyway, I feel like it might have to do with some more of the suspension components up front. I don't know, maybe ball joints, sway bar, or I don't know what else is up there. I'm not really good with suspension terms yet. The only thing that I know I've replaced was the 2 front struts. The entire strut assemblies were replaced on both front tires, and the a slightly used tie rod, outer tie rod on the driver's side. So there, there's probably bushings up there that are really worn and stuff, and when you're under load and the weight kind of shifts to the back and everything's kind of looser, I'm thinking that's where I'm getting the shimmy from, because when you're driving it, like right now, there's nothing there. It's not shimmying, the wheel isn't acting weird, just when you're kind of accelerating at first, you know. I probably also have to have the front hubs looked at too. The hubs, I know the Carfax said that they were changed out at some point, but who knows how long ago that was. So we might need some new hubs, I don't know. We did replace the left rear hub, which was giving me the annoying brake warning light and a code for a bad wheel speed sensor, which it turned out to be bad. Changed that, and the brake warning and the chime have both gone away, which, you know, thank you, it's gone. So that did the trick. The ABS and track lights are still on though, so I think that there might still be some other issues, or it just needs to be reset. I haven't had anybody reset the codes yet, so I don't know if it has to be reset or not. I was kind of thinking maybe after all these drive cycles and a working back sensor, maybe it was going to go off on its own, but I could be wrong. We still have to replace the fan speed resistor. My heat and such only works on high right now, so eventually we are going to be changing out the resistor under the dashboard. And as far as the heat goes, that's kind of why I turned it off right now too, because I can't turn it down. But as far as the actual heat goes, you know, the Aztek was never really known for the best heat, especially with all the problems with the cooling system. But at the same time, once the engine's on for a while and it really gets warmed up and such, the heat really isn't bad. So I have excellent heat, and it's actually, the heat's better than my previous Aztek. My previous Aztek, the heat as it was getting older was just worse and worse and worse. But this is actually, you know, I've got great heat when it's on and running for a long time. And what else was I gonna say? There's no air conditioning. I'm honestly at this point not even sure if I want to do anything as far as fixing the air conditioning. We'll see. But as of right now, I think I'm just gonna let it go. But I have heat, and that's all that matters. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just driving around. The new suspension parts that I did put on it, I think, are acting phenomenally. I'm sorry that I just keep bouncing around from topic to topic, but the Monroe OEM Spectrum, or OE Spectrum, struts up front and the OE Spectrum shocks in the back, I think they're doing a fantastic job. So far I'm really glad that I went with those purchases and not just a plain old economy strut and shock for this car. I honestly don't know if I'm going to make it to 1,000 miles tonight, guys. I was really hoping that I was going to make it to 1,000 miles, but this is taking a lot longer than I thought. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Shortly after the first week of driving it, I remember telling you guys that I had a random, or not really random because I know a cylinder was on, but I had a misfire code briefly. The car started misfiring on me, and I also, I think, had a lean or rich, I don't know. I had a code for one of the O2 sensors, I believe, is what I was told. I was going to start looking into the misfire thing, but it has not misfired ever since. That was one incident, and it has been running like a dream ever since. So I have no idea. I don't know what happened, what gave it that misfire for that time period, that moment, but she has been perfectly fine ever since. The headlights on the Aztek aren't the best. They never were. I don't think the Aztek was known for having good headlights either, but I always use the fog lights also, and the fog lights really, really help you out. Going up hills with it still scares me sometimes, because I was in a car one time that had a bad transmission, and when we were going up the hill, the transmission gave out and we rolled backwards. So that I'm kind of like that with any car, but I do get extremely nervous driving this thing uphill, especially from a start like we just did back there. Okay, so I am getting ready to merge onto the highway. Maybe. Boy, there's a lot of traffic tonight. And I'll show you guys exactly how things look. I got a semi in front of me too, so I can't really accelerate all that quick. Okay. I don't know why this camera is so blurry, I'm sorry. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like there. And yes, the cruise control does work. Well, of course, that wind noise is either coming from I don't know. I'm assuming it's that little windowsill guard that I have, that rain guard, or the door's out of alignment. I don't know. I gotta slow down because he's not going faster. Anyway, so you guys get the idea. So that's how it seems to run when it's on the highway. And like I said, it's actually driving really well on the highway. It's not pulling, it's not shimmying. It's, I don't know, I'm quite amazed overall with how it handles on the highway. It's a nice night tonight. Nice sky. I don't know, guys. I don't think I'm gonna make it to 1,000 miles tonight. It is getting late, and I got stuff to do before I gotta get to bed and, you know, do school and stuff in the morning. So I might have to wrap this up. I know for a fact that, you know, once tomorrow comes and, you know, I go to work and come home and stuff, it'll be over 1,000 miles. So I think I'm just gonna go home now. We're gonna go home, and that way, if anything comes up before or, you know, before the 1,000 miles, I'll document it somehow. But I highly doubt, with what little mileage there is left in between, I am pretty confident that we're not going to have any drastic issues, unless the motor just like entirely blows up when I first go to start it tomorrow or something. I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. But overall, she's been a fantastic car so far. I can't really get mad at any of the stuff that goes wrong with it, because it's not really her fault. She has been neglected for many, many years, and I'm the one who's trying to kind of get it back on track, obviously. Why isn't this camera focusing? The quality of this video is so bad, guys. I'm sorry. I really wish that my other camera had been charged. I obviously didn't want to film this video after 1,000 miles, because that's just kind of stupid. I wanted it to be, you know, either shortly before. I wanted it to be at 1,000, but I don't think that's gonna work out tonight. Let's go home. All right, we're home now. So 987.5. I tried, but it's getting late, and I gotta do a couple of things before, you know, bed. Ooh, spooky. I'm using my phone because the interior lights don't really do justice, which is really bright. So, yeah, driving this thing a lot more than I wanted to. It gets driven every day because, well, when I bought it, I wasn't planning on driving it every day because of how old it is and whatnot. But the Fusion has been my school car, and then I've been driving this everywhere else because I don't want to rack the mileage up on my Fusion. So this gets a lot more use than I was originally anticipating. And like I said, right now I'm still completely happy with it as is. It's been doing really well, especially for the neglect and the abuse and the sitting and stuff. So yeah. So about 1,000 miles in, and so far nothing majorly new has come up. I doubt it, but it's old, so who knows? We'll see. Tomorrow it'll be over 1,000 miles by the time I go to work and whatnot, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes from there. And hopefully I'll be able to get thousands and thousands of miles out of this thing before it either completely craps out or I have to get rid of it for one reason or something. I don't know. The goal is to keep it for as long as I can. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry that the quality all the way around seems to be pretty shoddy in this one. But I got the video out. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to
to get the video done. If you guys did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Also check out teespring.com/stores/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of the MVS and vlog merchandise. And that's all that I have for tonight, guys. So thanks for sticking around through all of the Aztek updates, through all the progress, for everybody who has actually been helping me along the way via YouTube or Instagram or whoever's been, you know, following me with the Aztek stuff and have been giving me some tips here and there. Thanks a lot. And I will see you guys next time. So thanks for watching. Take care.